Adidas might not like what I'm about to say, but it's the truth. One of the best outcomes from this bad boy coming out, the Prime X2 Strung, one of the best outcomes is the first version is now cheaper. But which one should you get? Let's compare them. Let's talk about it. Okay, so before we get started, my name is Aubrey. I'm a very average runner, simply trying to be less average by the day, as at the time of filming this, you guys have given me 6,080 subscribers. Thank you very much. If you're on Instagram, please connect with me. Boom, Aubrey.running. It would be good to connect with you. I always interact with everyone that follows me if you reach out. Let's get to it. The way I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna give you 2 reasons why this is the shoe you should buy, the first version. And then I'm gonna hit you with a lot more reasons why I believe the version 2 is the way to go. So let's start. All right, first thing, the weight. Now, there are a lot of videos talking about this shoe and how heavy it is. And that's simply because in a 9.5 UK, which is the size I wear, this weighs 280. Whereas the new one weighs 320 grams. If you don't factor in any other reason and just base it on the weight, easy choice. This bad boy wins. But please bear with me until I tell you why this weighs 320 grams before you make that decision. Okay, secondly is the price. Now look, the fair thing here would be talking about how much both costed at first release. But that is useless information. What are you going to do with that? The best thing I can tell you is how much you can get any of these shoes now. This has released at £250 or $300. That's a lot of money. Whereas because it's come out, you can now get the earlier version for £161 from the Adidas website. And I guarantee it, you can even get it cheaper if you look around. But now, let me share with you the plethora, the multitude of reasons why this would be the shoe to go with. Okay, let's start at the most important bit, which is the midsole. Now look, whilst both of these say 50mm stack height at the midsole, the Prime X Strung version 1 is actually 49.5 at the back and 41 at the front, being an 8.5mm stack. It's been heavily criticized for being unstable. I don't agree because that's not what my experience has been, but granted. Whereas this is 50mm, but it's 43.5, being a 6.5 drop. Much more of a stabler drop because it's less of one, but it's still 50mm. Now, I don't really want to compare the stack heights because they don't really say anything. It's not about the size of the dog in this fight, but the fight in the dog. What the heck is inside here? Now, if you turn this shoe around, you can see the energy rods in there. In here, oh my days, and you get to experience it as you're running. 3 layers of Light Strike Pro. The first layer at the top, then you get, I'm going to talk about the carbon plates in a bit, but there are 2 carbon plates, but sandwiched in between those 2 carbon plates is this layer of Light Strike Pro, and then you get the bottom one. 3 layers of that bad boy. No competition there. The second thing, I said I would get back to this, energy rods, I like them in the Adidas Pro 3, I like them in here, but I'll always prefer carbon plates. Not just one, there's 2. Now look, for shoes to be legal, manufacturers are only allowed 1 stiffening plate. This bad boy has put away all the rules and has got 2 carbon plates running in between, 3 layers of Light Strike Pro. No wonder it's gone up in weight. So look, if you're gonna judge it by weight, that's the shoe to go with. If you're gonna judge it by why that weight's gone up, that there wins it. Next, let's talk about the tongue. And this is substantially different. In the first version, it's semi-attached. It's semi-gusseted, meaning it's attached on one side of the upper and the other side is loose. That still offers you some sort of fixed position. I'm not gonna fault that. And the tongue itself in the texture. I think they've improved that, because in here, we're not even talking gusseting. It's a sock feeling, full attachment to the upper, 1, and 2, it's a knit tongue. I like the elasticated feel as opposed to the first version. So to me, I think it's a very big improvement. The second thing we need to talk about and can't just glance over is the lacing system. I absolutely dislike the lacing system in the first version. It doesn't feel resilient. It's these little spaghetti things and eyelet holes things. I don't understand why they would do that. They've improved on it in here. This feels and looks a bit more resilient. I would prefer just holes, but I think it's because of that sock lining thing effect that they've gone for. It would be hard to implement that whole system. So I get that. Essentially, this is definitely better. Okay, next is the upper. Essentially the same, until you look very closely at the toe box. In the first version, the stringing pattern at the front kind of takes and acknowledges that toe box and goes in a different direction. This is me nitpicking, but I prefer what they've done in the second version, where it's a continued pattern of that strung, and it just looks and feels a bit more slicker. I don't think it contributes to the actual feel of the run, it's just aesthetics. I prefer the look of the second. Speaking on aesthetics, another big improvement, and I put a poll on my Instagram for people to choose based on looks alone which shoe they prefer. Have you heard that nursery rhyme of that woman that lived in a shoe with her family? This looks like one of them bad boys. With this, it feels like they've made it a bit slicker. This is a bit more streamlined. For me personally, this is bulky and that is a bit more slicker and a bit more aesthetically pleasing. I'd go with this. Lastly, and more importantly, the running experience itself. This is gonna split opinions, and I'm okay with that. I don't know if it's a novelty. I don't know if because this one is bright and shiny and new. But what the carbon plates and this sandwich light stripe pro puck thing is doing in that spring, honestly, you put this shoe on, you can literally feel that springiness. I've never felt anything like it before. That's just me telling you the truth. Don't get me wrong. This is innovation. This is an experience I've never felt before. It almost feels very different. I don't think the feeling itself is one that just is a sequel to this one. It's completely different. Of the two, if I'm to choose one, this is it. Thank you for watching this one. I'll see you on the next one.